My name is Dom Douglas, and I've been playing Magic the Gathering for what seems like forever, but in fact it's only been on and off for about 30 years. With that comes an expectation that I'm the best player ever. You couldn't be any more wrong in that statement. What I do like, however, is having a lot of fun. Whether it be playing Limited, Draft, Commander, Standard when I get the chance, Arena, Magic the Gathering Online, it doesn't matter as long as a good time is had. And with that, I have some opinions, not just of Magic the Gathering, but also video games, comics, maybe even a TV show or two. This is the Goblin Grenade Podcast. Just rolling with the intro to start things off. Intro into this. Yes, that's right, folks. Sorry about no podcast last week. It was going to be an infinitely negative podcast because except for the bans and Magic the Gathering, nothing good happened. I'm not even joking. This was... I had to recompose myself, take a break, take a step back, work on a couple of the TCG Card Shop Simulator episodes, and get a little better headspace, if you will, before tackling this. Heck, there was almost no podcast this week. That's why this one's coming out really late on Wednesday, because I just seriously, it's not that I'm dreading doing this podcast, I'm dreading doing the topics of this podcast, but I kind of have to because it is all encompassing here. First things first, the topics today in this order, we're going to start with the positive and then immediately go to the negative. So if you don't like negativity or just me kind of sharing my opinion on how janky certain games have been, stop after the Magic Gathering bans if that's your jam. Yes, a week later, I'm talking about Magic the Gathering, the ban and restricted announcement. Then we're going to get in the Fallout 4's 10th anniversary edition being a complete train wreck, worse than the next gen update that they did 19 months ago. Borderlands 4 is actually the most depressing thing I've bought this year, and Minecraft Bedrock Edition is also broken. So can you see why I didn't want to do the podcast last week? Because that's a lot of negativity, and it would be like 10 minutes if I just did the positive stuff. So we're going to start, as I said, with the ban and restricted announcements. In Standard, VV Orienteer is banned, Screaming Nemesis is banned, and Prof's Idyllic Memory is banned. So when it comes to VV, it's 1 and a blue-white for 0/3 creature, wizard, legendary, and for 0 mana ability, just activate it when you want. Add X mana in any combination of blue and or red, where X is VV Orienteer's power. Activate only once during your turn and only once each turn. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, put a +1/+1 counter on VV, and it deals 1 damage to each opponent. So this card was immediately broken in more ways than one. I'm forgetting the name of the card. It's the card, the graveyard card that brings cards. Exiles cards from graveyards, and you put a +1/+1 counter on it, and anything with a +1/+1 counter on it has abilities of cards exiled with that card. I'm forgetting the name off the top of my head. I apologize. I'll get to it when we get to the article. But it was a very broken combo because now all your creatures have VV's power. The only way to stop this, or to even come close to stopping this, was running aggressive mono red. So which is why Screaming Nemesis was banned for 2 and a red for a 3/3 creature spirit. Haste. Whenever Screaming Nemesis is dealt damage, it deals that much damage to any other target. If a player is dealt damage this way, they can't gain life for the rest of the game. This is just a 3/3 haster, and it was part of that very aggressive mono red package, which has been getting hit with the ban hammers the last couple of times, considering Corey Steelcutter and Monstrous Rage got banned. And then they wisely banned Prof's Idyllic Memory. People were actually testing Prof's Idyllic Memory in replacement of VV. And it is an enchantment for 1 and a blue. When Prof's Idyllic Memory enters the battlefield, draw a card. you have no maximum hand size. At the beginning of combat on your turn, if you draw more than one card this turn, put X +1/+1 counters on target creature you control, where X is the number of cards you've drawn this turn -1. It flowed really well with the VV graveyard package, and also people were starting to experiment because everybody knew VV getting banned, and Profs was there. That was the only 3 cards in Standard that were banned. And I think there's one card that should have been added to the list. Hear me out. Omniscience should have been banned as well, because if Corey Steelcutter and Vivi were not dropped, Corey Steelcutter paid for the sins of the new expanded Standard. Corey Steelcutter and Monstrous Rage, when they were designed and printed up, because there's a lot of long lead time into these things, and we know that when they expanded Standard to 3 years, that it was just a knee-jerk reaction. Those 2 cards never should have seen the light of day in Standard together, along with Vivi Ornithir and the Graveyard card, because that was from Wilds of Eldraine. And those 2 card combinations never should have been in the same Standard. But now, if those 2 didn't exist, Corey Steele and Vivi, Omniscience would have been the card that people were calling to get banned, because the Omniscience enchantment deck Graveyard Recursion in Standard, I think, might be the next big bad that people are screaming from mountaintops to get banned, because it was starting to get there before Corey Steele and before Vivi. It was almost as bad as Corey Steele. So I think they should have, on top of nerfing Mono Red, the only card that was the only deck that was competing with Vivi. You obviously have to take that, but it's weird that Screaming Nemesis, because not many people are going to want to play Mono Red anymore, because you don't need to be as faster than the fastest deck. This is like you're playing Mono Red because you're the Flash, because you're going up against a foot race with Superman. Like, now that Superman doesn't exist anymore, you don't need to prove that you're the fastest. So I really think Omniscience should have gotten banned as well in Standard, just to prevent what might happen. Now, in Pioneer, I didn't even know they were paying attention to Pioneer. Heartfire Hero is banned. Heartfire Hero is a 1 red in Foundations for a 1/1 with Valiant. Whenever Heartfire Hero becomes the target of spell or ability you control for the first time each turn, put a +1/+1 counter on it. When Heartfire Hero dies, it deals damage equal to its power to each opponent. So now this card is banned in Standard and Pioneer. And it's a really good card, too. Modern, 0 changes. Modern's actually really healthy. Legacy, though, got a huge ban when they banned Entomb. Entomb is for a single black instant. Search your library for a card, put that card in your graveyard, then shuffle. Entomb is part of one of the tier 1 decks in Legacy for about 10 years. And they've banned it. Nadu Winged Wisdom also got banned, so now you can't even play this card, I think, except for in Commander. And if you roll up in a Commander pod with Nadu, I'm walking away. Not because I don't like the card. I think the card is good. I think the card needed one little line of text removed or one word changed. This ability triggers only twice each turn, just once each turn. We could have... Nadu could have been a little better designed by replacing a single word or two. It's just the play style of Nadu, which is potent, but it leads to an extremely long turn. And if you just roll up with Nadu, I'll be like, I don't want to play against Nadu. If hey, it's just I don't like the play pattern, and plus Nadu's kind of like, I don't know, I guess CEDH? I don't know. I have no idea or grasp of what CEDH is. I Don't touch it. It's not my jam. If it's your jam, more power to you. Have fun. I'm not going to yuck your yum up anymore. I used to yuck your yum up when it came to CEDH, but now I've come around to seeing the beauty of CEDH. That's what's called improving as a human being. Vintage, no changes. Pauper, which is commons only, or cards that have been printed in common. High Tide is banned. Gavin kind of saw that coming. Historic, which is got an announcement for Arena only. Force of Negation, Frantic Search, Mystical Tutor, Entomb, and Dark Depths were pre-banned before the Avatar Last Airbender set came out. Brawl, Strip Mine, Mana Drain, Chrome Mox, and Ancient Tomb is banned. So the people that play Brawl, my bad. So with Izzet Cauldron, with their reasoning, and it's the Agatha Soul Cauldron is that graveyard enabling card with Vivi. Agatha Soul Cauldron, 2-drop artifact, legendary. You may spend mana or mana of any color to activate abilities of creatures you control. Creatures you control with a +1/+1 counter on them have all activated abilities of all creatures exiled with Agatha Soul Cauldron. And then tap it, exile target card from a graveyard. When a creature card is exiled this way, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. You can see, just by me saying that, and then with Vivi's ability of just adding X mana in any combination of blue or red, where X is its power, activated only once during your each turn, and then you just have every card with a +1/+1 counter on it that are VVs because you exile a VV with Agatha Soul Cauldron and then just cause misery to your opponents. They do say there are clear parallels between Proph's Idyllic Memory and Up the Beanstalk. Up the Beanstalk, which was banned earlier, 1 and a green for an enchantment when it enters the battlefield, and whenever you cast a spell with mana value 5 or greater, draw a card. This was a massive draw engine for any deck playing green. Way too good. Both cards are one card game plans that provide a lot of strength over the course of the game, which is true. In addition, they are both 2-mana enchantments that draw you a card when you play them, so it replaces itself, which is really important. And this makes both cards hard to profitably interact with, since both cards leave you up a full card before following the exchange. The combination of qualities is a dangerous recipe for a card in the strongest deck in the format, as it greatly limits the number of decks that can combat the strategy. In terms of power level, Proph's Idyllic Memory has proven itself as a strong standard engine. It broke onto the scene in a big way in the Jeskai Oculus decks at Aether Drift, which Pro Tour Aether Drift. It was Aether Drift. And it was in every standard metagame since. Prior incarnations of the deck have been healthy additions to the metagame, but recent additions like Weather Knight Stories and Quantum Riddler, 2 cards that just basically let you draw cards out the wazoo, as well as the increased level of optimization for the core shell, leave us concerned that even without VV Ornithir, the deck would continue to be one of the best decks in the format, because you would just find another random creature to put in to replace with VV, and Prof is now your new VV, just on a really more potent scale. And then they decided to act against the mono red deck today, as well with that ban, proven itself able to hang with Izzet Cauldron, because it just kind of needed to be a little bit faster from time to time against it. That's the only reason why the mono red deck existed in this standard format, I think, even without banning Screaming Nemesis. The mass proliferation of mono red decks in Pro Tour, in Standard, in your local game store, at Friday Night Magics that run Standard, would drop significantly because we don't have to compete against VV anymore. So this is why Screaming Nemesis was banned, because it was the second best. They banned Nemesis instead of Leyline of Resonance and Slick Shot Show Off for a faster, more all-in version of the mono red deck. But despite winning the Magic Gathering Spotlight Spider-Man in Baltimore, we believe that the strategy is more inherently attackable than the versions of red that play Screaming Nemesis. Now, mono red did win that, but it was, I think, like 2 or 3 mono red decks in the top 8, and the rest were VV decks. It was bad. Pioneer, I don't know why Hardfire Hero got pinged. Oh, I do know why I got pinged. They explain it. The core problem in the format, especially on Arena, is that too large a portion of the format consists of mono red aggro and decks built specifically to prey on mono red aggro. It's for good reason too, as mono red aggro is the archetype with the highest win rate by a substantial margin. And when you zoom in on best of one play, it also sees more play than the second and third most played archetypes combined. Best of one Arena affected Heartfire Hero getting banned in paper. That is bullshit. A best of one format that can't even be played at LGSs. Okay, can't play it in paper. Can't play it in store. Caused Heartfire Hero to get banned because people play it in best of one on your digital format. So now we're getting into creepy realization here that Arena best of one is starting to affect normal Magic play. This is a bad idea. That is a bad take, in my opinion. The standard bans were good. This ban didn't need to happen only because best of one players are being affected by it. It shouldn't have happened. It's one of those things. Once again, flashback to about 15 minutes ago. This is why I didn't want to do the podcast last week. Because even in the positivity of the ban and restricted, I'm still a little bit mad about Heartfire Hero getting banned because of the main justification for it. Best of one caused this card to get banned. In your digital format, even though best of one is not a 60 card paper format, I think it's bad. I think Heartfire Hero should be banned on Arena best of one, not in Pauper. It's not in Pioneer itself. And once again, Wizards of the Coast is just destroying Pioneer. They destroyed Standard. Why not Pioneer? Because they made sure to put that 6 feet in the ground. Modern, no changes. As I said, Modern is a really good format right now. Modern is really super healthy with multiple archetypes that are super powerful. But then Legacy, and this is their explanation of Entombed being banned. After a significant amount of time and effort to preserve the iconic Entomb reanimate play pattern of Legacy, basically you find the big bad card and then you immediately reanimate it, the time has come to lay this one to rest. For multiple years, the Mirror Reanimator has rested atop of the Legacy metagame for years, if not a decade, surviving multiple bans, and each step has barely phased the deck. Earlier this year, we tried to ban around Entomb and force players to play a more committed version of Reanimator that chose between having a robust, fair game plan and a high-impact, albeit exploitable, flashy combo plan. In our previous ban and restricted list update, we spoke about wanting to give the format more time to adjust to the current version of the Mirror Animator and Oops All Spells. Finding ways to hate out decks as powerful as the ones in Legacy take time, and in the case of Oops All Spells, its metagame share has dropped dramatically, and the deck struggled a good deal at this year's North American Eternal Weekend Legacy Championship. On the other hand, the Mirror Reanimator had a respectable weekend despite having a huge target on its back and a large metagame share. Basically, you reanimate a Murktide Regent on turn 2 or turn 1, Abrasion Borrower, an Archon of Cruelty, an Atraxa. You get those on turn 1, and bingo bango, it's GG's, my dudes. They did not take the decision to ban Entomb lightly, and it does not fill them with joy. In years past, Entomb has done a bunch of things that look great from the perspective of game design. It inspires decks, it's iconic, and at times it expanded the range of cards that could be played in Legacy. Unfortunately, we don't live in a world where Entomb allows Reanimator players to figure out if they should have a tech copy of Inkwell Leviathan, Archon of Valor's Reach, or Tidesprout Tyrant. Its predominant use case shorthands to a small handful of creatures that play well in a more traditional threats backed up by efficient counter magic game. Over the past couple of years, the details of the Mirror Animator have changed, but the big picture shell has remained. Entomb's incentivizes in deck building make it easy to leverage high-impact threats without having to commit to the fail states that normally come with a synergistic enabler plus payoff combo deck. Entomb specifically allows these decks to circumvent this issue and has simply have the card translate into having one of the 2 or 3 most powerful creatures ever printed into a graveyard. This has created a version of Legacy that has been diversive at best and reviled at worst. Ideally, this change can better compartmentalize decks that want to cheat big creatures into play from decks that play a more traditional game of Magic rather than promoting a hybridization of the two that can easily switch between each half of the deck in its face of hate. It's our hope that players who prefer this version of the deck use days and cantrips to play to the battlefield will be able to continue to do so with Izzet Delver or Dimir Tempo. You're basically going to have to change your Reanimator deck in some way or switch out of Reanimator completely. Hold on. In the short term, we believe it's possible for people who are more enamored by the cheap big creatures in the play half of the deck to find a way to play Legacy that suits their play style, even if the details are different than before. So, Nadu, on the other hand, on the predictability spectrum is Nadu Winged Wisdom. This one is a bit more straightforward. It's a power level outlier that's flown under the radar. In a similar fashion to what we saw last year in the time leading up to Pro Tour Modern Horizons 3, Nadu decks haven't been seeing a lot of online representation despite their win rates, in part because of how cumbersome the deck is to manage in an online client. I'm getting a bit ahead of myself, but there are 2 versions of Nadu decks in Legacy. One is adapting decks affectionately referred to as Cephalid Breakfast, named after Cephalid Illusionist. And the other is just a Nadu midrange. Now, the problem is it's a very clunky deck to play. It is difficult to master once you do it. However, even if you're super proficient in the deck, when it finally hits the thing, it's still taking 10 minutes to do your thing on one turn. Wizards does not like this because it does not equate to good coverage, which is fine. It also equates to games going over time all the time. In a best of 3, if it takes 20 minutes of game in Legacy on a Nadu deck, and then you hit that Nadu weird long turn, your game 1 is 30 minutes in essence for a Legacy game. And now you get to game 2, where it's going to happen again. So games go over time, and then say you're in game 3 on turns, and the Nadu player on turn 3 pops off on the Nadu combo, which could still whiff. It could still miss completely. That person has taken a 20-minute turn, and now you've gone 30 minutes into overtime, preventing the next round from starting. So that's why Nadu's getting banned. Pauper with High Tide. High Tide is a 1 blue spell. Until end of turn, whenever a player taps an island for mana, that player adds blue to their mana pool in addition to other lands it produces. Doubles mana for that turn. Gavin wanted to experiment with it, and maybe it's time to unban High Tide was his thing. Let's experiment with it. Let's see what happens. Folks, don't get too attached to your High Tides just in case. And guess what? High Tide popped off like crazy. And Gavin just basically said, hey, look, we warned you when it got unbanned that this might not be long for the world of unbanning. But here we are. We have to. So yeah, that was the ban and restricteds for Wizards of the Coast. And even with some of the positivity, as I said, it's still somewhat negative with Heartfire Hero getting banned in Pioneer for no reason. Honestly, no reason. And I felt Omniscience shouldn't have been banned. To end on a real positive note, however, Avatar: The Last Airbender set. I've said it before and I've said it again. When it got announced, I'm happy you Avatar Last Airbender fans are getting a Magic the Gathering set. I hope it's as good as the Final Fantasy and Fallout sets. And you know what? They hit a home run. The cards I've seen, the games I've seen, loading and ready run, doing a pre-release, the amount of care given into this set. Where was this for Spider-Man? If I was Marvel, I'd be super mad right now. Because Spider-Man Magic the Gathering is easily top 5 fail of the year for me. Top 5 most disappointing, which that list is coming out in December. That podcast is going to be in December. I'm going to do top 5 disappointments, top 5 favorites. And you already know 2 or 3 of them on the disappointment side. Now, we are going into Fallout 4 real quick. And this is where you can stop watching the video because it's all downhill negativity from here. It's not super gamer rage like I've been playing Call of Duty Black Ops 7, but it's not positive. There's nothing positive happening in the rest of these topics. I'm going to take a drink beforehand. All right. Fallout 4 got a 10-year anniversary edition update and release. Relaunching Creation Club. Creations. No, Creation Club was 10 years ago. I think 6 or 7 years ago. They're redoing that again for no reason. Money. For a bleeding, dry, beating a dead horse at this point. Fallout 4 because Starfield did so well. And they finally got around to fixing, first off, the massive amounts of glitches that they introduced into an already glitchy game 18 months ago with the next-gen update after this Fallout Season 1 on Amazon dropped. And they finally got around to fixing it 18 months later. VATS was broken. VATS was targeting things you couldn't target because they were behind walls. You could see everything. You had like wall hacks, unfortunately. On top of the next gen update releasing some Creation Club content for free that was broken. Missing images and whatnot, like big red blocks of question marks, which is the program language for saying you didn't put a thing here. Even grenades, you didn't design the artwork for the grenades or the guns for this game aren't in here. So coming off the high of Season 1, you released that, and how long do you think it would take Bethesda Game Studios to fix it? 18 months. Mind you, the next gen update was delayed for a year and a half to coincide with Season 1 dropping. Fallout, the TV show on Amazon Prime. And they still released something that completely broke the game. Not only broke mods, not only broke the game itself, broke the ability to almost even start the game or even make it playable. It was working fine until the next gen update, and then Bethesda was just like, hey, hold my beer as I mess everything up. So now 18 months later, they finally released the 10th anniversary edition and fixed some of the things, right? They said, fix some of the things, right? They fixed some of the things, right? No, they didn't. They fixed the VATS issue. They fixed a couple things, and the 10th anniversary update made it worse. Creation Club was not loading up. There's many stories, many videos out there of just the horrific state of day one 10th anniversary edition launch. So is it going to take Bethesda 18 more months to fix this? Because right now they haven't fixed anything yet. They kind of fixed some things. They fixed the fact that the stuff that you downloaded and already bought, like the expansion, the DLC in the game, is actually now recognized that the game actually knows that you have it, because before it wasn't, which affected Creation Club stuff, which affected free mod stuff, which affected the entire game. But yet you could still load into the game and get into the content some of the time. That's if you could fire the game up. Poor PlayStation players couldn't do that. Poor PlayStation players couldn't even fire up the game without it crashing. People lost saves. And when it comes to a game like Fallout 4 that's been out forever, there are some people like me. I have a save file from launch of 10 years ago. My first playthrough of the game is still there, and I have to make sure that I turn mods off because it's an unmodded playthrough. People lost files like that. And it may not seem inconsequential to you, but to me, that would have been heartbreaking if I lost my non-modded playthrough of Fallout 4. But then everything else broke too with this. So good on you, Bethesda. I guess here's what I have to say about all the errors that have come across. The way this franchise has been treated. I wish somebody out there, and I know they're not public. I know Bethesda Game Studios, I think, is not publicly traded. I wish there could be a vote of no confidence for Todd Howard. I wish they could sell the Fallout franchise to somebody who actually cares about it. And that's going to release a new game before I turn 60. You have the opportunity next month when season 2 drops in New Vegas, I might add, to have had the opportunity to drop a New Vegas remaster the day that finishes. The day the last episode drops. Imagine the hype you would get. You would sell hand over fist. New Vegas remastered. New Vegas updated. New Vegas whatever with the ability for mods or whatever. Not even the ability of mods. Just release it like you did Elder Scrolls Oblivion. Flaws and all. You would sell so many copies of that game. But you don't have it in you because you have Bethesda Game Studios has no business sense when it comes to Fallout or Elder Scrolls. They released actual garbage in Starfield. That was their priority for the last 6 years. And Fallout 76, which I will freely admit is a good single-player experience. Especially, I put it back on my Xbox when Burning Springs drops. I'm going to play that. I'm gonna do those. I'm gonna do that. I might roll a new character too, just to do a fresh start from the beginning. Even if I don't like a lot of the story in Fallout 76, it's at least as close to a new single player experience as you can get. Because Fallout 4 barely works. Fallout 3, I've played a bit. Fallout New Vegas, I'll play every now and again, which is more than I play Fallout 4. What's with the number 4 games releasing that are just super disappointing? Anyway, so yeah, Bethesda literally fumbled multiple bags that they could have had in the last 2 years because Starfield was the important thing. And nobody's even touching Starfield anymore. Let's actually look it up. Let's look it up right now. Real time. Starfield player count. Okay. I'm going to go into SteamDB here. 2.5 years ago, all-time peak of 300,000. 24-hour peak of 3,000 players playing it on Steam. And it floats around there for the last, last year. It's just declining like crazy. It had a peak on August of 7,000, but it was at a valley of 4,000 in April of this year. And then after that peak, it's once again just been dovetailing, and now it's dropped even further. And it's just a slow curve, which is understandable. Games after like a month or two will lose about 85% of their player base. But when it comes to a game like this, oh my God, from September to November, the year it came out, it lost almost 300,000 players. And it's just been dive bombing ever since. And it's like flatlined at this point. And I don't even know why they're still supporting the game. Nobody's modding it, by the way. And guess how many people on Twitch are watching it right now? 69. Nice. 69 people are watching Starfield right now on Twitch. With a 24-hour peak of 77. Yeah. So that was their priority. A game that has utterly failed to even maintain. And even in the broken state of Fallout 4. A game that came out 10 years ago that currently right now is still broken. 20,000 players. On Steam alone, 18,000 players. 17,500 right as this moment I'm recording this podcast, which is at 4:30 right now, 4:30 Wednesday, November 19th. And you have almost 500 people watching it right now on Twitch. And it's been gaining all year, except for some drops here and there. It'll gain it right back. Mind you, folks, this game has been broken for 19 months. Still doing better than Starfield, which for some reason Bethesda Game Studios and Todd Howard himself can't get over their head that they should just drop this game like a bad habit. Because the game you released 10 years ago is doing 100 times better. And that game's been broken. Which is why I say, I wish they could just do a vote of no confidence for Todd Howard. Can you see why I didn't want to release this podcast last week? I didn't want to do it. It would have been more vitriolic. It would have been happy with the MTG ban stuff. I would have been a little disappointed, and I still was. Like, I don't get it why Heartfire got banned. But, this is me being calm and composed a week later. Then next, we're going to go into Borderlands 4, and that yesterday, a newly discovered glitch lets you unlock late game skills. Tech tree glitch explained. It's probably been fixed by now. You can unlock skills that you don't have access to using Amon's Calamity skill tree. They explain that you usually have to invest 26 points to reach all the way to the bottom where the most powerful skills are. But those glitch, you only need to invest 1 point on the skill you want. To start off, you need to invest enough points into a skill tree to unlock the desired skill. In this case, Amon's Electrical Fire passive. Ensure that you invest 2 fewer points than the point cap while doing this. So if it's at 5, don't invest more than 3. Once they unlock Electrical Fire and Stormcutter, the next step is to remove the points you invested in getting there. For this step, you need to only have 1 skill point available. If you have an extra, you can dump it into one of the other 2 skill trees. With this in place, go to the skill just above the one you want to unlock, in this case, Judgment, and then use the option to dump all remaining skill points into the skill. After this, simply press the undo button. Here's where the glitch primarily occurs. Instead of dropping down to 3 points after the undo, you'll drop down to 2, but the Electrical Fire skill will still remain unlocked, even though you don't have enough skills in the tree. Then it's just a case of repeating the process all the way till you fill the tree. By the end of it, you'll have your most powerful skill unlocked without having to spend the extra to get there. They're fixing it, but this glitch was there. It could have been there in the beginning, but it probably was there after a hot fix update. Borderlands 4, and this is a spoiler for next month's top 5 disappointing episodes. I blur it out a little real quick. Is the biggest disappointment I had this year. I got the $140 edition because I thought I'd be playing this game for the next couple of months until I moved back to New Jersey. It was going to kill all the free time that I have. I stopped playing it. Perspective. Call of Duty Modern Warfare, Call of Duty Black Ops 7 dropped on Game Pass this past Friday. I've put the same amount of time from Friday till now in that game than I did in Borderlands 4. And I completed Borderlands 4. I completed the storyline. I did a lot of the things. I didn't do 100% of all the side quests and whatnot because I just sat there going, I don't want to do this. This game's not fun to play. It's actual garbage. I've noticed on two of my favorite Borderlands content creators, Killer 6 and Jolts Dude, that all their content for this game is getting substantially lower views, unless it's complaining about it or bringing up issues with it. Every other video is not doing good. This game is not fun to play. It's not funny. There's no story to it. The guns suck. The MMO style open world is awesome. Moxie's refight rolls are pretty good, but this isn't a Borderlands game. You could have literally, Tiny Tina's Wonderland Adventures is more of a Borderlands game than this. And I actually liked Tiny Tina's Wonderland Adventures. I thought that's where we were going. That direction, that overworld map style direction. I thought that's where we were going with this franchise. Instead, we got this crap. So now, at this moment, 9,000, peak, as of today, peak player count 9,102 players on Steam are playing this game. Want to talk about a nosedive? Between September 14th and September 19th, 130,000 players stopped. Small peak when the weekend kicked in. And then from September 21st to September 26th, 100,000 players stopped. So the more people are beating the game, they're not firing it back up. They're not re-rolling a second character. They're not re-rolling a third character. They're not replaying the game. Once again, the weekend small peak jumps back up to 143,000 on September 28th. By October 3rd, September 28th, 143,000 players. By October 3rd, 80,000 players. Now, this is typical. 85% of the players stop playing your game after a couple of weeks. But this is not this type of game. You don't stop playing for a couple of weeks. I haven't stopped playing. I've fired up Borderlands 2 like 2 months ago. I fired up Borderlands 3 like 3 months ago. And then from October 5th all the way to current, we went from 97,000 players all the way to the pitiful 900 and 9,100 players that we're at. On Twitch right now, 559 people are watching this game. 559 people. Let's reload that screen real quick. I'm sorry. It's now 468 people are watching. 400 people are watching people play this game. That's bad. And it's not even an end game thing either. It's not even the end game being bad or non-existing. It's this game just being bad. I'm sorry that Jolts and Killer 6 have to play this garbage and can't say that it's garbage. I mean, this is where I tread very carefully here because I love their content. I've been a fan of Killer 6's stuff and Jolts Dude stuff for years. I don't see it. I don't see the enjoyment they have in it. And a lot of people don't either. Because as I said, their views on YouTube about the two of the bigger Borderlands content creators have tanked. Which is bad. And probably out of like the 400 something people watching right now, if they're streaming, it's all them two that are watching it. People are watching their two streams. So Borderlands 4, I don't think I'm firing up anymore. I mean, I haven't fired up in weeks. That's why I'm playing Black Ops 7, and that game is getting clown shoot on because of the campaign that I haven't touched yet till tomorrow. I might dig my feet in. I get a very serious, from what little I've seen about the Black Ops 7 campaign, I think I might enjoy it for all the wrong reasons. Because it's so bad. I'm a big fan of bad movies, if you haven't been able to tell. I've been doing Rocky Horror Picture Show for 30 years as a shadowcaster. I like The Room. I like Birdemic. I like trauma movies. I love Mystery Science Theater 3000 movies that are bad, so bad that you can clown on them. And I really think the Black Ops 7 campaign is going to be one of those things where, yeah, I'm going to not enjoy playing it to get to the end game, but man, I'm going to be laughing at all the wrong reasons. And then finally on this, what did Mojang do to Minecraft Bedrock Edition? They apparently released the new update, Soulsteel or whatever, since Soulsteel came out. Bedrock Edition, which is the console players, but it's the easiest way for crossplay. Oh, by the way, in Black Ops 7, here's my pro tip: if you're on console, turn crossplay with PC off. There's an option to turn crossplay on console only. Look up a video guide on some control settings. You're going to need it. I did. And even then, I was still getting wrecked because mouse and keyboard. Uh-oh. Nope, I didn't. Okay. Because mouse and keyboard will always trump console controllers. Far superior. Never going to deny that. I had a bad time in the first couple hours of Black Ops 7 until I realized that. Because they actually kind of fixed how bad the aim assist was in Black Ops 6. Apparently Black Ops 6 was damn near aimbotting for you on console. And that's what I can tell. The massive difference between the aim assist from 6 to 7. So, my friends, if you saw me posting about how, man, I'm actually not that bad in Black Ops 6, I still got it. I don't got it. I got it because the aim assist is really good in that game. And at first I was really mad about how broken or how nerfed aim assist was in Black Ops 7. Then I turned it to console only, and I've gotten used to it, and I actually like it. There is a skill ceiling there. I'll never come close to that skill ceiling. I'm not good. I'm a run and gunner to this day. I'm a run and gunner, and I've just been trying to get prestige and camo armors until I get bored of Black Ops and probably load up, I don't know, an unupdated version of Fallout 4. But with Minecraft, which is my cooldown game for Black Ops, okay, if I've been grinding Black Ops for like 6-7 hours, I need a cooldown. That's Minecraft. That's where I just kind of do the peaceful, idyllic thing. I'm just building. I'm just crafting. I might, get a couple of mobs. The map the world I'm playing in right now, my own personal world. I have enough where I've set it up where I've got my mob spawner close, but everything's lit. So I don't have to worry about mobs randomly appearing behind me. And I'm just vibing. I'm just chilling. That's my cooldown. And Mojang broke it. Bad. It's been a week or two now that Minecraft has been in a very bad state, and they still haven't fixed it yet, or have incrementally fixed some things. But, and I know this is coming from r/Minecraft on Reddit. Can someone explain to me why everyone's saying Mojang broke Bedrock? For the top response, the TLDR, too long didn't read, There's a major bug where the cursor can move out the window when moving the camera. And there's also a huge memory leak bug. Neither have been patched for weeks, to my knowledge. Then they actually made a hotfix to fix the cursor thing. It just didn't fix anything. It made it worse. The memory leak, and this was the best explanation of what a memory leak is. When writing a computer program that deals with memory, you need to allocate it, do your stuff, and then remember to free it after you're done. So it goes back to the operating system. Memory leaks happen when your program allocates memory but doesn't free it. So it stays allocated forever. Even worse, it usually happens when your program does that inside a loop. So it constantly keeps allocating more memory without freeing it until it runs out, and then the game just freezes and or crashes. So basically it's like filling up the cup of coffee but never drinking my cup of coffee, and then filling up my cup of coffee again, and then never drinking my cup of coffee. What happens is either the world breaks because I figured out how to fill a coffee cup up twice without drinking or taking anything out of it, or it just spills everywhere. And they say it doesn't happen on Java Edition because Java automatically frees up memory. C++ doesn't do it, and that's what Bedrock is written in, but up until this update, it did. It did free up the memory. So, yeah, they broke it. Numerous game bugs, huge memory leak, people unable to access any world files and basically losing everything for quite a while. Textures are glitched. People lost worlds completely, and we're talking maybe once again, kind of like Fallout 4, but even worse. If you lost a world that you had for 8, 9, 10 years, and have, especially on console, and you've migrated from 360 version to Xbox One version to now the Bedrock version on Xbox One. That's a feel bad, man. That's like memories right there. There are some worlds that I've kept on there just because of certain things and times in my life in the last like 10 plus years I've been playing Minecraft. 14 actually, now come to think of it. That they're just there. They're just like timestamps. It's like, look at this photograph, I can immediately remember where I was. So yeah, and they haven't fixed it yet. It works for me, but not as good as it should, and I'm being very careful when it comes to loading the game up now because things are happening. So yeah, hopefully that gets fixed. Hopefully Fallout 4 gets fixed again and not 18 months from now. Borderlands 4 is unfixable at this point. Worst $140 I ever spent. Really wish I didn't get the digital version. It's just got something I could trade in. I wish I could refund it. I wish I could have refunded it. I knew in the first 3 hours, I wasn't liking it. I wasn't liking it at all. But on Xbox, you can't do a refund like that. So anyway, that has been this podcast. That is why I didn't want to release one last week and almost didn't release one today because, man, we got real negative after the MTG ban and restricted announcements. My name's been Dom Douglas for Max Heroes and Villains, and may your top deck always be mythic. Back to Black Ops 7.